Thank you for taking a look at the condensed history of the East Coast oyster. I hope to give you a few new facts as we travel through time. Prastostrea virginica is our oyster, growing along all of the East Coast states, with each watery area providing the special taste to the oysters that live there. Our local Lynnhavens are very special in the history of oysters, as you will discover. Oysters have been around since the age of the dinosaurs. These amazing bivalves have endured incredible changes over time. Native Americans who lived along the coast were the first people to enjoy this protein source. The white explorers that arrived in the New World were already used to eating oysters. However, the European oyster is a different animal from ours. Upon the arrival of the first permanent English colonists on our shore that we now call Virginia Beach, George Percy reported, "We ate some of the oysters, which were very large and delicate in taste." For colonial Americans living along the coast for 3 centuries, oysters became a necessary food source. Moving into the 17 and 1800s, oysters are extremely popular in all coastal states, but tops in consumption was New York City, which could easily have been called the Big Oyster. By the late 19th century, Lynnhaven oysters were known as some of the largest and finest. Northeast supplies were dwindling fast. Oyster processing businesses popped up all along the Chesapeake Bay. Gathering by the use of long tongs was a way to collect bushels of oysters. In deeper water, gathering by dredging became profitable. Tongers versus dredgers, not to mention our out-of-staters coming into Virginia and Maryland waters, caused a lot of anger among the watermen. The dredgers scraped the waterways of whatever was there. In an undermanaged and underregulated time, the oyster wars ensued, much like a Wild West scenario, and gunfights were bold and daring. To try to enforce existing regulations, the oyster police tried to take charge and protect rights in Virginia and Maryland. Oyster poaching was rampant, overharvesting continued. Even as problems existed, demand for oysters was huge. In 1844, Baltimore began the first large-scale canning operation, and now for the first time, oyster meat could be safely shipped in bulk to all states of the United States and abroad. This began our golden age of oysters. The Pure Food Laws of 1906 changed the public's opinion of the oyster, and the oyster scare of 1907-1909 caused a temporary decline in consumption. Eating good oysters changed from commonplace to luxury. Thanks to the newspapers at the beginning of the 20th century for writing about celebrities who requested and enjoyed Lynnhaven oysters in restaurants around the United States and elsewhere, they echoed the writings of the explorer in 1607, who described their unique taste. In 1929, we had an underpopulated Lynnhaven area, and yet we had a die out of oysters. What was the cause? Water pollution of some sort, but between the problem times, a local industry boomed. During cool weather seasons, Lynnhaven oyster roasts were very popular in Virginia Beach and Norfolk, either catered or just a homegrown roast. The Keeling Restaurant, Hurd's, Steinhelber's, and the Cavalier Hotel, with many other businesses, relied on the Lynnhaven oyster as a big draw. Somehow, our oysters made it through the extinction of the dinosaurs, and so they made it through these very rough times during their own unique epidemic. The work to clean waterways and reestablish local oyster beds and in the Chesapeake Bay continues. We have much to be proud of, especially the work done by volunteers and staff of these great groups. It must be stated, however, that they would not be successful were it not for the financial assistance of federal, state, and city funding, as well as donations from individuals and businesses. We're all in this together. It takes all of us doing what we can to prevent pollution and keep our waterways thriving. Someday, when our current restrictions are over, we can get together again and return to enjoying the amazing oyster, who also works very hard at cleaning our waterways. Thank you for watching. It's been my honor to present a short history of this amazing bivalve, the beneficial and ever so important Virginia oyster. Thank you.